All right, welcome everyone to the December 11th, 2024 meeting of the Human Resources and Compensation Committee. I'll call the meeting to order. Has the meeting been properly posted?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, thank you. First item always is part of our meeting where there's an opportunity for citizens to speak. Do we have anyone that would like to address the committee? All right. Seeing no one to address the committee and we have no correspondence, we'll move to the action items for approval. First item on our agenda is the approval of the minutes from the November 13, 2024 HR and Compensation Committee meeting. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second. All right, it's been moved and seconded to approve the minutes from the November 3rd, 2024 HR and Compensation Committee meeting. Any discussion? All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. It passes 3-0. All right, next is the approval of resignations and retirements. We have no resignations or retirements on the consent agenda. So we can move to approval of leaves of absence and leave modifications. We do have one request for a leave of absence. Do I have a motion? So moved.
Second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded to approve the leave absence, leave request as presented. Any discussion? All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. Motion passes 3-0. Next is approval of new contracts and contract modifications. There are 2 contract modifications on the consent agenda for approval this evening. Do I have a motion to approve as presented?
So moved.
Second. All right, it's been moved and seconded that we approve the contract modifications as presented. Any discussion?
No discussion, but I'm like, it's nice to see that the increased enrollment is the reason.
Yes, for the 2.
Yeah, for the EG.
Yeah, I think one was French and one was.
Sure, yeah.
Yep, exactly. I agree.
Is that increased enrollment since the year started?
Correct.
It's great.
Yeah, good. Good comment. Yeah. All right. Been moving second that we approve contract modifications. All in favor say aye.
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 Say no. It passes 3-0. Next on the agenda is discussion and information items. And the one thing we have on the agenda was to discuss board policies 3216 professional staff dress and appearance and policy 4216 support staff dress and appearance. And if you recall, this was on the agenda for technical corrections initially. And then a board member had mentioned, what I recall was issue with, or possible issue, something to look at with the COVID masking part that might have been a bit dated. I did speak with Ms. Lee before the meeting. And I'm assuming you've had a chance to look at the policy. Part of so essentially these 2 policies, I should say, are exactly the same except for the first statement. One is professional staff and one is support staff. So kind of talking about both together for discussion purposes. And it does say further, I think it's the 4th paragraph, further for staff that are returning to work after COVID illness or are taking precautions against COVID illness. District is requiring that any mask worn by the staff be solid color for your symbols, etc. And I know COVID was, I guess at its peak 4 years ago, but there have been several iterations of it since then. And the way it's written here, it's COVID/illness. So, I mean, my opinion was I didn't know that we really needed to make any change regarding that. But again, this is still for discussion. We got a 3-person committee. Glad to hear your opinions on what you think about these 2 policies.
What I understand, what I'm reading is, this is not any type of mandate. It's a suggestion. If the staff member feels that they would like to wear a mask after returning from a COVID illness, the more discussion of, or description of what the mask would be like, plain colors, create symbols, etc. But it's again, it's optional, and it's a personal choice of the staff member, correct?
Yes, and I should also clarify, it says COVID/illness. So it's not just COVID illness, it's any illness overall.
Sure. So
okay. Probably see out in public, there's still people wearing masks, and I think some of them feel comfortable doing that for whatever reason.
Sure.
Um,
So the
So,
policy
yeah.
itself is just more identifying that should a mask be worn or desired to be worn, it just would comply with certain, descriptors such as a solid color, free from symbols and words, and be non-cloth, like in other words, it should be more like a disposable surgical mask like you buy at the
Yeah.
store, and then N95, those kinds of things.
Yep, basically specifying what types of masks are allowed.
Sure.
if-
Okay.
If you shouldn't choose to do that.
Okay. So a fabric mask, in this point, something homemade, that would not really be in compliance. Because it's a fabric mask, it needs to be more of a medical type, is that what the policy is?
That's the way I read it, because it does say non-cloth.
Mhm.
So if that's what you mean by fabric.
Yeah, right.
So I have a couple of thoughts here. The first is, I mean, I wouldn't be opposed to striking the words COVID where it appears. I don't know if there's any need to
Illness.
differentiate COVID from any other illness that may make someone feel more comfortable if they're wearing a mask. At this point, I mean, well, let me just put it this way. Is there any reason why we wouldn't allow people to wear a non-cloth mask? Like, is there something medical about a non-cloth as opposed to some other that at this particular point in time, we feel as though that introduces risk to other people in the building? That, I mean, if someone feels more comfortable wearing a cloth mask, do we care whether they wear a cloth mask?
I don't know that we do, Mr. Watt.
That's it,
I
yeah.
think when we updated this policy, what I recall was the ones that are listed were the most well regarded, if you will, during that time. Now, obviously, where Mr. Rouse was my witness that time, so I don't know that it would.
Yeah, I mean,
Right.
without getting too far down this rabbit hole, I'm not sure that there's a whole lot of evidence to suggest that any mask is of particular value in stopping the spread of a respiratory virus. I think that's been fairly well established at this point. So I don't know that we need to really go into what masks are or not. If someone feels more comfortable wearing a mask and we don't see any reason as a district to prevent them from doing so, which might be a different discussion, maybe we can consider taking out all the references to the various types of masks as well.
Well, one thing I will say, and I don't know if this went into the decision of making the policies this way, but I think it's typically the cloth masks that then have messages or symbols or whatever on it that we're trying to avoid. So I don't know if that went into the decision, but as I read it, I thought, oh, that's probably one of the reasons, other than maybe was it potentially better medically to have, N95 or whatnot. I don't know that there's a lot of disposable masks in it. So that was just one thought I had of why we were probably trying to avoid the mask. I don't know if anyone knows that they could share if that.
Well, I mean, if we just stopped at, any mask worn by staff be a solid color free from symbols or words, then we still cover that if that was the intention, which I kind of think that was at least part of the reasoning for this.
Could some of the reasoning be, some people were wearing the longer tape that you pull up and becomes more like up over the nose or like a bandana? Is that maybe the reason for the regular mask? I mean, is that acceptable? If it's a full bandana, solid color, free of words, is that acceptable? I mean,
I don't know. So I guess I would direct this question to you, Ms. Deege. Is there anything about masks or certain types of masks that detract from the delivery of education by an instructor? Do we have any guidance on that? I'm thinking, for example, there's a lot of studies that have been done that talk about how young children, really learn, the process of speaking through watching and observing. I don't know if we have any data that would suggest any of our kids from that period of time have fallen behind or in additional need of like speech pathology as a result of wearing or being exposed to teachers that were wearing them all the time? I don't know the answer.
Not historical data, and I wouldn't say right now masks are prevalent in the schools.
Right. Do we know, are there staff or students that do still wear masks though?
I've seen an occasional mask.
So it's still out there. Well, I'm gonna take a stab at this. I would move to strike in paragraph 4, the words COVID everywhere they appear.
So can I just ask a point of order? Is this for discussion then for us to bring next month for action? Are you recommending
I'm,
that we bring it back for next month for action?
yeah, you're right. There's not a motion on the floor to adopt
Yeah,
yet.
so it's just discussion today, but I mean, we could try to work that out now, or we can do it next month.
All right, so let me try it this way. Rather than making a motion, I'm going to suggest these potential edits
Okay.
and if you all agree, you know, we can ask this be brought back with these or other revisions.
Okay.
I would advise striking COVID everywhere that it appears in both 3216 and 4216.
COVID's kind of slash, so keep
And-
the illness.
And then period after free from symbols or words. And strike the remainder of that paragraph.
I guess one question though. It does suggest clear mass such as zone one was worn by speech or language pathologists. I feel like that's an important thing to keep in.
Well, so I think that's covered though by mask worn by a staff be solid color free from words or symbols. Or, okay,
Clear
so
or
yeah,
solid.
so
Well, clear or solid color. Maybe we just incorporate clear and
be
or
clear.
clear or solid color.
Here's another way we could do it. We could say,
Strike the part after words and before or clear.
yeah, so take out that period. Free from symbols or words,
Clear mass.
or clear mass such as those worn by speech and language pathologists.
Mhm.
Okay. Any other suggested changes?
Are there any other references to masks?
I think so. So what we could do then is bring this back for discussion and possible action next month.
Yeah,
That sound fair?
Are there any other concerns with language or whatever?
Well, unless there's any from administration, either, Steve or Dr. Seaver, if you have, I guess we have another month to consider them anyway, but, I
Mhm.
mean, your initial reaction, if you have any, if you'd like to share that.
No, I think your discussion has been good. And just back to your earlier point, Mr. Borowski, I thought technical correction was also positive, going from professional staff dress and grooming to professional staff dress and appearance, just to eliminate any concern with, where grooming can be seen in
If I can interject, one of the things that came up at my deposition today was the fact that the reference here to the fact that no symbols can be used.
Point of order. I'm just curious, is it okay to be discussing testimony from a deposition in an open meeting? I don't know whether it is or it isn't from a legal standpoint, so
Probably not advised, I would say.
Well, I guess I'm wondering, point of order, can we just? Can anybody engage in conversation in a? Even though it's a board member, after the public comments portion?
I think I've seen other
Generally that.
board members speak
Yeah.
at
Okay.
when there's a item on the agenda that they have thoughts on. But I do wonder if we want to address anything that comes up.
I just want
Yeah.
to bring up the fact that, the reference to symbols being excluded could be potentially a concern under a Supreme Court decision called the Tinker versus Des Moines case. And I've shared that information with Mark. That'd be something I think that you may want to also consider as reviewing this. If you want to reference what, yeah, I didn't get a copy for myself, but the
Yeah,
notes
so-
are there.
Maybe what I should do is we have another month here, I'll talk to you about that. Because we talked like literally 2 minutes before the meeting started, so I didn't feel prepared enough to bring that up.
I'm sure we could get guidance from the council.
Exactly, and that's what I would encourage you to do.
Okay. Okay, yeah, thank you. All right. Other comments on these two policies? All righty, well, we'll likely keep that agenda for next month then. Any other business or future meetings? All righty, well, you know who to contact if you do have any suggestions. And our next meeting will actually be the third Wednesday of January on the 15th. Because of the way the calendar falls, instead of the second Wednesday.
Yeah.
Since the first Wednesday falls on the 1st. So it'll be January 15th. And thank you all. The meeting's adjourned.
Okay, WebEx.